Hey guys, this is jamonline.ph and welcome back to my channel, and today we're gonna do a review of the latest smartphone from Realme Philippines, the Realme 8i. I know, this is the box right here. This is the Realme 8i, the newest addition to the Realme 8 family, and of course, this smartphone packs a lot of cool features, including a 120Hz refresh rate, a 50-megapixel triple lens camera, and a lot more. Now, it's time to talk about the smartphone. So as you can see in here, we got here a really nice and shiny back. And yes, it attracts a lot of fingerprint smudges, which is a little bit annoying for me. As in, kasi since super glossy niya, super nice naman niya tignan, pero it attracts a lot of fingerprint smudges. Actually, it is my favorite Realme 8 smartphone among the family pagdating sa kanyang design. I still prefer this design. I mean, they got here the arc beam design at the back. And I like the shiny black color that we got in here. So this is the space black, and I like yung kanyang reflections. Actually, sa camera mukha siyang brown, but it looks really premium and it looks really nice, especially for its price. But again, it attracts a lot of fingerprint smudges, and as for me right now, meron siya mga konting mga dust, and pansin na pansin mo siya kasi para siyang mirror dito sa likod. But of course, it is what it is. Kailangan mo lang ng case pagdating dito. May kasama naman siyang jelly case if you want. If you want to use that one para maprotektahan yung likod ng smartphone nyo, para hindi siya mabasag or masira. But yeah, it attracts a lot of fingerprint smudges. That's the downside, but the upside naman nito is maganda siya tignan and super ganda niya in my opinion. As for the camera module, this one is very similar to the Realme 8 series. We got here a thinner camera module, but I actually like the design of this one. But this one, it comes with a triple lens camera, a 50-megapixel main camera, a black and white sensor, and also a macro lens. Mamaya pag-usapan natin yung quality niya. But as for me, pagdating sa kanyang design, napakaganda niya tignan kasi parang uniform yung kanyang camera module doon sa kanyang body. It's glossy, it's nice, and kakulay niya yung mismong body niya sa likod. As for the ergonomics, I actually like how it feels as it is. I mean, kahit walang case, madali siyang hawakan. 6.6-inch display, but madali siyang hawakan, masarap siyang hawakan, and wala akong problema so far pag ginagamit ko tong Realme 8i. And again, unlike the Realme 8 Pro, this one is a subtle na Realme branding. We got here the Realme logo on the side. There's no dare to leap na medyo malaki dito. For some people, they might like that, but for me, I prefer the subtle branding, especially sa glossy back ng smartphone na to. Before I talk about the display, let's talk about the ports and the buttons na meron dito sa smartphone. On the right, we got here the fingerprint scanner. And maganda yung placement niya ng fingerprint scanner. Nasa gitna, tama-tama, madali siyang hawakan, madali siyang abutin, mabilis pag nag-unlock tayo. And the volume rocker is placed on the other side of the smartphone. So madaling abutin both the volume rocker and also the power button of the smartphone. As for the ports, we got here 3.5mm audio jack and also USB-C port. So thankfully, meron pa rin siyang 3.5 sa mga still on the budget, hindi pa rin naka-TWS. Meron pa rin tayong wired headset dito, and the USB-C port supports 18 watts of charging sa smartphone. And yes, it's USB-C, so mas madali naman siya hanapin, mas universal na ngayon na USB-C sa mga new smartphones. As for the battery life, I was actually surprised that this smartphone can last really long. I mean, I've been using it for a day, playing PUBG Mobile and some other games. But despite that, I was expecting na okay, by the end of the day, wala na akong battery. Surprisingly, yung Realme 8i, tumagal pa rin siya na isang workday for me. I mean, from 8 to 8, kaya niya as long as i-limit nyo lang yung usage ng gaming. But if you're into heavy gaming, no problem. Matagal pa rin yung battery life niya. Yes, may konting kainitan, mag-warm siya pag naglaro kayo ng mga isang oras. But the battery life of this one is really good. It exceeded my expectations. So, I believe most people, yung average people, would last a day dito sa smartphone na to, or even a day and a half, kahit na naglalaro kayo dito sa Realme 8i. Now, let's talk about the display of the smartphone. So first, we got here the 6.6-inch Full HD Plus display on the smartphone. We also got here the punch hole selfie camera, which is a 16-megapixel front-facing camera. And the highlight of this one is it comes with a 120Hz refresh rate. It's not AMOLED, it's still an IPS display, so it's not as smooth as the 120Hz na AMOLED, but the sampling rate of this one is 180Hz. So pag naglalaro kayo, very responsive naman siya, and so far wala akong naging problema with 120Hz refresh rate. And for me naman, pagdating sa games, enough na sa akin yung mga 60 FPS na games. Pero it's a welcome addition if meron tayo support for 90 FPS. But for this one, mostly are 60 FPS. And I really don't have any problems with that. I mean, it's a Helio G96 processor. Mamaya pag-usapan yung performance. But most of the games that I've tried lang naman can reach up to 60 FPS. And wala akong problema as long as responsive yung kanyang display. Yun yung natutunan ko as I review smartphones na okay, most of the games that I've tried, they're only up to 60 frames per second or even 30 FPS. As for the quality, it's big enough for watching videos, movies, Netflix, or whatever videos that you're watching dito sa Realme 8i. And I actually like the color of this one. So pag nanonood ako dito, okay, manonood ako ng movie, ganito, I'm actually surprised that it's bright enough for my usage, and maganda yung colors niya. It is sharp, and it's actually better than expected. So mamalaki ni Realme dito na mayroon silang 100% DCI-P3 na colors dito, and surprisingly, they're right. It's really good. The colors are really nice. It's still not on par with the modern AMOLED displays, but this one is really good for an IPS display, especially for its range. And knowing na may 120Hz refresh rate siya, it's something na medyo mapapawaw kayo. So let's talk about the performance and also the hardware inside of the smartphone along with the software. So first, the software, it comes with Realme UI 2.0. Of course, it comes with a lot of applications. You can uninstall most of them. And similar pa rin opinion ko when it comes to Realme UI. It's still the same. There are some applications that you might want to uninstall, some applications na hindi nyo naman kailangan sa smartphone, but it's still a fine smartphone for me. As for the performance, again, we're running here at Helio G96 processor with a 120Hz refresh rate. So navigating on the smartphone on the Realme UI is smooth. Actually, mas nafe-feel ko mas premium yung smartphone every time na may mataas tayo refresh rate because mas nararamdaman ko yung smoothness ng smartphone. And yes, it's dito sa Realme 8i, I love how smooth the navigation of the smartphone is, especially when browsing Facebook and also browsing the web. So, again, Helio G96, a very decent processor. May pag-usapan natin benchmarks, but let's talk about first the memory of the smartphone. So, the smartphone starts at 4 plus 64 gigs na variant. For some people, they might not be enough para sa 4 gig lang yan. Hindi enough yan sa akin pag naglalaro ako, pag multitask ako. Understandable. 64 gig, for some people, hindi yun enough. But, mamaya pag-usapan natin yung price, which is really good dito sa Realme 8i. And I believe kahit na may 4 plus 64 tayo, I think sulit naman siya pagdating sa kanyang pricing. So, I really suggest that you get the 6 plus 128. Not only na yun yung may virtual RAM na up to plus 5 gig na RAM, using yung storage natin, but it also has a bigger storage, especially now that we got a larger games. I mean, Genshin Impact, Mirror 4 is big also, and other games as well. And of course, darating pa yung mga games like Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Definitive Edition, which is, I expect na medyo malaki rin siya once na dumating siya sa smartphone. So, it's better na future-proof yung smartphone nyo with a bigger storage. As for the 4 plus 64 that we're using right now, so far, I'm really happy naman pagdating sa games. Actually, I was even able to play some games like Genshin Impact dito. But 4 plus 64 for some people, siguro pag hindi naman sila like heavy gamer, they would still like that one, especially yung kanyang price. But overall, I still suggest that you get a micro SD card for this one para hindi kayo problema sa storage ng smartphone. As for the benchmarks, check out the benchmarks na ginamit ko dito sa smartphone. So the scores are fine. I expected it to be that way. It's a Helio G96 processor, 4 gigs of RAM. Now let's talk about my experience when it comes to gaming. So first, let's talk about Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact is one of the most demanding games right now sa market. And so far with the Realme 8i, I was able to play Genshin Impact on the smartphone. Of course, lowest settings, 30 FPS. Yes, I could run it at 30 FPS. No problems at all. Of course, nagkakameron tayo ng dips sa performance, sa frame rates pag nasa medyo heavy tayo na fight scenes, but so far it's playable, it's enjoyable, so no problems with me when it comes to Genshin Impact. And of course, pwede naman adjust yung settings depende sa kung anong prefer nyo para sa game na yun. As for PUBG Mobile, we were able to play the game at balanced graphic settings at ultra frame rates, that's 40 FPS, and I believe the smartphone can handle even more. Kaya niya siguro mag-higher pa na graphics with a higher frame rate. Unfortunately, na-limit lang tayo doon for the chipset. But so far, I am enjoying PUBG Mobile, Deathmatch or Battle Royale mode, no problems at all. As for League of Legends Wild Rift, walang problema. We were able to run the game at ultra frame rates, 60 FPS, no problems at all, smooth, no problem. So when it comes naman sa gaming, no problem naman tayo dito sa Realme 8i. Now, let's talk about the camera of the smartphone. First, we got here the 16 megapixel selfie camera. The 16 megapixel selfie camera can get you a nice selfie. For its range, I'm actually pretty happy with the selfie camera of the smartphone. Even yung portrait selfies natin dito, they're good at separating the background and also the object. And hindi siya yung perfect selfie camera, but it's great for its range. Now, for the rear camera. First, we got here the 50 megapixel main camera along with a BNW sensor and also an ultra macro lens. And yes, wala tayong ultra wide lens dito. It might be 4 circles dito sa likod, but one of them is actually the LED flash. As for the main camera, yes, it can shoot decent shots as long as may decent lighting tayo. Of course, when we're shooting at night time, dun yung mapapansin na even at night mode, meron tayong mga konting noise and a little bit of artifacts. Pero just a little bit. Pero what I'm talking about is that the night mode is, well, pwede na. Especially for its range. Kasi we're talking about a smartphone na mura, and yet it can do some night shots that is that good. And as for naman dun sa kanyang rear camera at daylight, well, we got some pretty nice shots in here. The details are nice. The sharpness is good. Actually, just check out some of the shots that I took using this smartphone natin. As for the ultra macro, I was actually surprised that it would be that good. As for the ultra wide, no ultra wide tayo dito. And of course, the portrait mode is kind of good naman dito sa smartphone na to. The rear camera can shoot decent lighting, can shoot decent shots at daylight conditions katulad na sinabi ko kanina. And so far for its range, I'm pretty happy with the camera that we got dito sa Realme 8i. It's not perfect, the dynamic range isn't perfect, but the colors are nice, the sharpness is just fine for its price range. So, onto the verdict. The Realme 8i is a pretty good smartphone. We got here a long battery life, a 120Hz refresh rate. Yes, it's not AMOLED, it's IPS. You can take advantage of it pag naglalaro na kayo. But the 120Hz refresh rate is smooth enough for me. I am happy with it. As for yung kanyang camera, triple lens camera lang siya. Unfortunately, no ultra-wide. So if you're an ultra-wide person pagdating sa mga shooting ng videos, medyo ma-disappoint kayo na wala ultra-wide. But the 50 megapixel can do a lot naman dito sa smartphone. And again, the G96 is a pretty capable processor. You can play a lot of games, you can play a lot of applications without any problems at all. Now to the exciting part, the pricing. The Realme 8i is actually pretty affordable. For the 4 plus 64 gig that we got in here, this one is priced at 9,990 pesos. But for those people na nanonood na bago pa lang yung video, they will be offering this one for 8,990 starting November 17 up to November 21. And for the 6 plus 128 gig variant of the smartphone, you can get it for 11,990 pesos. And similar promo tayo sa dates na sinabi ko kanina for 10,990 pesos. So, ibig sabihin na meron kayo 1,000 pesos off if you're gonna get the smartphone earlier. So yeah, that's it dito sa review natin ng Realme 8i. So if you like this video, well, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And be sure to click that subscribe button along with that bell button to get notified of our latest videos here sa aking YouTube channel. So once again, I'm JamOnline.ph. Thank you for watching and see you guys again sa susunod na video.